Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be looking at the very crucial tool menu in Logic Pro 10. Now what the tool menu allows you to do is select different cursors to do different tasks, right? So the cursor being your mouse that you can see moving on my screen. Okay, and there are, depending on what you select, depends on what kind of function you want to do, right? So now where do we find these tool menus? So we've got these two buttons just here, right? Now this is the left click tool, and that gives you an indication as to how you actually work them. And essentially, these all work by clicking your mouse or your trackpad. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on one of these. So we're on pointer tool at the moment. We know that because there's a small tick next to it, and it's the one that's highlighted. Now the pointer tool just allows you to click and move things around. So very much like any other cursor in any other program, really, but very helpful nonetheless. The second one down, pencil tool. If you want to create a new region in a software instrument track, you can see how the cursor changes to a pencil. Go ahead and click. There we go. We've got a whole new region. And even more so, if you want to go into the piano roll, click E. You can actually come in, make sure that you're selected on a pencil tool in the piano roll, and you can click and create a horrible melody there. But that's what that does. Now, if you realize that you made a terrible mistake making that region, you can come down to the eraser tool. And what that does is exactly what you think it does, which is erase whatever you hover over. So we can have a quick look here. As we hover over, that little eraser icon comes up. Go ahead and click, and your worries are gone along with that region. So next one, the text tool. This allows you to rename your regions. So hover over a region, click, and then just call it whatever you want to call it. So new name. There we go. Zoom in a little bit, and we've changed it to new name. And you can see how the cursor changes accordingly, right? Next one down, scissors, does exactly what you think it will do. It chops stuff up. So if we hover over a region, and you see it changes ever so slightly. Now, wherever you click, it's going to chop. So let's click split, chop this one. There we go. So we've just split that into 4 different parts. Next tool is the glue tool. Maybe you realize that you just made a terrible mistake by chopping up your region into 4 different parts. So what this one allows you to do is when you hover over the region, so there's a pattern here, right? When you hover over the region, hold down shift and click, and it glues whichever region you're highlighted on with whichever one you clicked on. So this region is highlighted. If we want to stick it with this one, click, and same with this one. And now we've stuck the region all back together, which is good. The only thing that you may notice here is how the region is still split in the MIDI. So in that sense, if that's something that you don't want, your best bet is to actually click Command Z and undo rather than use that glue tool. Okay, next one down is solo tool. Now what this does is if you hover your cursor over a region, it will play that region just by itself, so as a solo. So let's do that with this one. And you can see a small S appears on your cursor. There we go. Kind of helpful. This can be helpful if you're like, oh, hang on, what was this region here? Or maybe somebody sent you a project and you just want to quickly scan over things. Quite a helpful thing. Maybe, or perhaps more usefully, if you can hear something in your track and you're not sure what it is, but it's not very pleasant, you can actually scan over and try and isolate what the problem is, a bit more quickly. Right, mute. Now this does something very similar, but when you hover your cursor over a region, that small M will appear. Go ahead and click, and now it mutes the region, and you can tell because it grays out the region with a small stop button, I suppose. So that's what that one does. Next one is zoom. This, and you can see we've got a magnifying glass. If we go ahead and click and drag, it zooms in a phenomenal amount. Now, I don't find this one particularly helpful because it always zooms in far too much. And I prefer to use these 2 controls over here. But nonetheless, next one is fade tool. Now, this is a very, very helpful one if you're recording in any kind of audio or bouncing audio down and re-importing it. If you're not and you're thinking, what is this guy talking about? Don't worry too much, but let me just show you something here. So let's come over to a region, one of these guitar regions. Let's go for this chord one here. Okay, so I'll just solo this. This is what it currently sounds like. Now, maybe you just want to, fade this in. And by fade, what I mean is gradually turn the volume up so it fades in nicely. If you want to do that, that's a good thing. And probably another main use that I would use this for is when you're recording in audio, sometimes you get these pops and clicks at the beginning and the end. And so what you can do is you can click, and you see how the cursor changes there. Click and drag, and you get this slightly transparent sort of triangle come in, I suppose. Now, what that means is it's going to gradually increase the volume until we get to this point here, in which case you're going to be at full volume for that region. Okay, let's have a quick listen to that now then. So pretty helpful. We can make this go the entire region. And how I did that was just come to the end of that region, click and drag back. Okay. Now you can also hover your mouse over, so your cursor over midway, and you see how the cursor changes from this darker, more contrasted cursor to this one. Now what this means is you can actually change the curve of the fade. So if we click, drag in any direction up or down, it changes the curve, right? So this is how quickly we're going to sort of turn that volume up now. So much quicker now, right? Now the other very cool thing is if you click, so make sure you've got this cursor up, 2-finger click or right click, and you can actually change that to speed up or slow down if you go in the opposite direction. Okay, so let's do it on this side. 2-finger click, slow down. Now we can listen to this. Okay, so it sounds much more cartoony now, but this can be a really helpful thing if you want that kind of vinyl speeding up kind of sound going on. So there we go. That's what that one does. The next one down is the Automation Select tool. Okay, now what you need to do is find some automation that you have, and let's scroll. There we go. So the Automation Select tool just makes it easier for you to click on some automation that you've got or not got. And you can click on one of these things. Whoops. There we go. Click and drag. There we go. Sorry, sometimes it's a little bit tricky. So what it allows you to do is just more quickly select your automation. And my trackpad's a little bit dodgy, so it's not the best example, but that's what it allows you to do. It allows you to more quickly select your automation as you want. Sometimes if you've got it on the pointer, I think this works most of the time just as well. But there we go. So Automation Curve tool. Now this one's a very useful one. What this allows you to do is curve your automation, and you can see that there. So it can curve the lines, which can be a very helpful thing. So if you want it to, gradually go in or have a steeper, quicker attack time on something, that's what that does. There we go. So you can see here. I can click and move these all over the place. Great. So that's what the curve tool does. Now you'll only use these really if you're doing automation. So if you're just starting out, you may not use these for a little while anyway. Okay, the Marquee tool. And by the way, to get the automation up, you need to press A on your keyboard, and that brings that whole separate window up. Excellent. Right, the Marquee tool, you'll notice is this sort of cross. What this allows you to do is click and drag and select different, parts of a region maybe. So if you just want to play a small section of a region, you can use this Marquee tool, and it just plays that one small section, okay, which can be quite helpful. So there we go. And finally, the Flex tool. Now this is really only going to be used on your audio tracks, okay? So if we just zoom in on one of these, what we've got is, so let's have a quick listen to this. This is what we've got. Okay, so if I want to add in some flex to this, you can see how the cursor changes. Now this is going to initiate flex time, which allows you to time stretch things and chop things up, or maybe move things a little bit around with your audio. So we get this cursor up. What we need to do is click and drag, and we can completely change how the audio behaves. So let's have a listen to this. This will sound crazy. Okay, very weird. We can do it the opposite way. So there we go. This can be really helpful if you're trying to make slight adjustments. So let's say, this section of the audio was slightly out of time. Click and drag it in to time, maybe in line with the beat. So a really, really helpful one. Yeah, that's kind of the basics of all of those tools. Now you may be wondering, well, what about this command click? So this does everything we've just covered, but with the addition of this will only select these tools when you hold down the command button. So if we have a quick look at my mouse, we're currently on the pointer tool because that's the left default, but on the command side, we've selected pencil. Okay, so when I click command on my keyboard, it switches to pencil. And as long as I've got command clicked, we can then use it as use our cursor as a pencil tool. So hold down command, click, we can do, select create a new region. Now, why would you want to do this? The main reason is you probably don't want to keep switching between different tools, right? On your main default tool. Because you might end up chopping something up or gluing something that you didn't want to. But perhaps you're gonna, you want to write in a whole bunch of different things, or you want to chop a bunch of things up. But you don't want to, you want to be able to move things around at the same time. This is why I use the command. And I really, most of the time, only ever use the command click version in this main window. If I'm in the piano roll, I'll probably switch to using this as the default if I need to do something. But there we go. Hopefully this gives you a good indication as to how the command tools and the tools work. They're obviously a very crucial part of Logic because you can't do a lot without them. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up and click the subscribe button to get more videos like this. And thanks for watching.